Welcome to the Four Rooms podcast, where we explore the four rooms of entrepreneurship: health, wealth, scale, and relationships. Each episode is dedicated to opening new doors and uncovering insights that empower you to design your entrepreneurial journey to be both lucrative and fulfilling. And now, your hosts, Amber Spears and Brett Kaufman.
Welcome to the Four Rooms podcast. I'm here with Jim House of the Book Carver. Jim is probably one of my favorite people in general, not just a member of Four Rooms, but I hope that from this conversation, people get a sense of who you are. So what I love to know is we can talk about the Book Carver, which I want to do, because I think that's some of your life's most important work, is helping people bring their stories to life and create a real work of art. I always say the difference between you and other people who might help people publish books is that you are helping people create books that are going to be something that they're going to be really proud of to have on the shelf, not necessarily a book written for marketing to get them booked on stages, which is valuable. I'm not saying it's not. It is. But I feel like the things that you're doing are legacy style work, deeper kind of soul purpose. And I'd love to get into that. But before that, I'd love to know, what is your story? How did you get into entrepreneurship? Because I know that was probably not your path when you first started. So I'd love to hear how that journey began.
So it involves, prior to entrepreneurship, education and ministry. Spent some time in full-time ministry, but I also was a teacher in a very affluent district and principal of several schools in tough gang neighborhoods, and then taught at the university level as well for many years. It's interesting when I was going to say a story that actually launched me out of education was a divorce, and I wanted to do more. I felt like I just felt like there was this calling in me to help a bigger audience, and I had always wanted to write a book. So I'm jumping right into the Book Carver.
No, do it. I want to hear about it. Yeah.
So what I did, and this is before self-publishing existed as an option. So back then, every book that you read, someone got paid to write that book, and you bought it inside a bookstore. There was no such thing as buying a book online or digital. So I spent 20,000 hours reinventing myself over 4 years, putting myself in rooms I didn't belong in until someone would kick me out. I never got kicked out. And there was no real path to being a professional writer back then. And I got in writing groups I didn't belong in and worked my ass off 15, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week to try, motivated by this goal of it was kind of a twofold motivation, that I really wanted to create books for me as an author that would be beloved by my readers. But also, I had left the top of one profession as a principal, and I started at the bottom of the other one. And I was all those naysayers, friends, family, who never said it to my face, but you could tell. Like, what are you doing? I wanted to prove them all wrong. Like, just watch me, just freaking watch me. So that motivated me to. So I actually created a book that got, when I sent out the pitch letter, the query letter, a ton of interest from top New York agents. 40% of them asked to see the full book proposal, and they were super interested until they found out I didn't have any platform. And I honestly didn't know what platform was. I'm like, I'm really good with my hands. I got a bunch of tools. How big a platform do you want? And so that's when so essentially they said, we love it was a parenting book, which is coming out again soon. I can talk about that later. But they said, there's never been anything like this in parenting before, but you don't have any platform, so we're not going to be able to get you a contract. So I'm like, what the heck, God? I've been working my ass off, creating this, reinventing myself for all these years, and now it's it's a dead end. And so I went to study entrepreneurism, and people were asking me, I had been helping people create books along the way. But then when people found out my background and my approach and how different it was, they started asking me. So I really had no intention to help, by design, to help other people create books. I kind of backed into it because I ended up with a different way to help people find the soul of their book, a book that really mattered, that readers would finish. So that's a little bit of the background.
I'm curious, when you said you went into rooms you didn't belong in, what do you mean by that?
So specifically, I would seek out workshops for the traditional publishing industry, not for wannabe authors or wannabe writers. And I can remember, I'll tell you a story, that there was a lunch and learn. So I would lurk. I couldn't get the credentials right, but I would lurk in the lobby of a hotel.
LobbyCon.
I knew how to do that. And schedules were posted. So I went in this lunch that they were talking about the current publishing industry statistics. And I went in there fully expecting to be kicked out. No one kicked me out. And I still remember, this is back before self-publishing existed. The statistic back then, and this is really what drove me of why I'm different. So the woman who was reporting the statistics said that back then, of all the books that were purchased, so there's no digital, there's no online. So every book that someone bought in a bookstore, only 2% of them were read in their entirety. And that just stunned me. I don't think I heard anything else for the rest of the meeting. I'm like, how do I make sure my book gets read and finished? So that's what drove me relentlessly to figure out a process to design a book that a reader will actually finish and be positively impacted by.
Wow.
No one's ever asked me that question
I don't
before.
I don't think I've ever heard you say that before. Like, I know your deep passion for creating exceptional work. And that's very clear from, the work that you do and the people you work with. But I really love that piece that you want to create a book that people will finish, right? And it sounds like being engrossed and enthralled by, which is a very different, deeper definition of kind of what you're doing. I think that's a really interesting thing that you just shared. I haven't heard you share that before. So
I believe there's a sacred contract that exists between an author and their readers. And it goes something like, if you're going to invest your most valuable resource, your time and attention in my book, then I have an obligation, a sacred obligation, to not waste your time, to make it to be a valuable contribution to your life.
So what is your process? I know the name is the Book Carver of your business. So how are you carving these works of art? What's the kind of, I know you probably have a secret sauce you can't fully share, but what can you share?
I can talk kind of what I do, not how I do it. But what's different mostly about me is I do a 2-day book plan, not write a book in 2 days, but 2 days just to create the structure for your book. It's really intense. And we're essentially doing two things. Out of, all of my authors are experts in some way, whether it's a celebrity or an entrepreneur, and they have a ton of good information, stories, experiences, lessons, insight, wisdom that would be valuable for their readers. Too much, in fact. So how do you determine what goes in this book and, more importantly, what doesn't? And quite frankly, no one knows how to do the what doesn't because no one really cares. That's not on their agenda. And after in my pursuit of how do you become part of the 2%, and this is before self-publishing. So that number is, I'm sure, infinitesimally smaller now. So how do you, that became for me one of the critical pieces is to make sure that you only put in the book exactly, precisely. You have an obligation to advocate on behalf of your reader and put only what they need in there for this particular reader journey. So that's the first part. And then once you know that, there's hundreds of ways you can structure that information. So it's not a template. It's not a formulaic book. Given this person and their readers and this body of work or body of knowledge and stories, what's the best way, because there's always a better way, to structure this information in such a way that the reader will actually finish it and be positively impacted so that they can actually it's all prescriptive nonfiction of some kind, so they can consume and assimilate and apply those outcomes in their own life. That's the goal. So those are the two things that my process, and then we end up at the end of those 2 days with essentially a table of contents. Depending on the person in the book, that gets developed, that framework gets developed deeper. So whether my team is going to finish the book with them or they're going to do it on their own, now they have the entire roadmap. There's no more question what goes in, so now they can sit down and the writing becomes much, much easier.
If you're looking to get even more from the Four Rooms podcast, you don't want to miss our exclusive newsletter. This is your personal invitation to join a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who are all about balancing health, wealth, scale, and relationships. Each week, we're going to bring you additional insights, tips, early announcements, and other information that we just can't fit into this podcast episode. Plus, it's a great way to keep the conversation going and ensure you never miss a beat in your entrepreneurial journey. It's easy to subscribe. Just visit fourroomsmastermind.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and enter your email. That's fourroomsmastermind.com, and just enter your email. We promise to keep things light, keep your inbox interesting, informative, and fun. Join the Four Rooms community today, and let's grow together.
It's awesome. Okay. So, who are your favorite people you've helped write books? Like, what are your favorite stories, or who are they? Like, what are some that stick out in your mind? Like, I'm curious.
I love this work because I'll say a little bit part about my process too. Here's a pink elephant in the self-publishing room. It's that not everybody who starts to write a book finishes. My percentage, there are still some of my people who don't finish the book, but what's different about me is those that don't finish, they love the process. It's often transformative for them, and when they see me, they're apologizing for not finishing it. So part of what I'm doing in the beginning is I have a very unique way that I've created. This is kind of a big part of my secret sauce is to work on them. So we have to work on them before we can write the best book. And that's probably all I should say about that.
I think anyone who does high-level coaching or is kind of in the trenches with their clients in the way that you are and the way that I am would hear that and know that that's the truth. That is absolutely the truth. That's really good insight. I love that. So it makes me feel even more like what you're doing as a book carver is you're really creating a work of art that's very unique to them.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of influenced by, not kind of, majorly influenced. The reason it's called the Book Carver, can I share that?
Yeah, please.
So I love fine art. I love beauty in all forms. And I plan my Europe trips around often visits to art galleries. And two in particular really moved me, Michelangelo and Rembrandt. And Michelangelo, there's a story about him where this little girl asked him one day, how did you know how to carve that angel out of that block of marble? And he said, well, I actually didn't carve the angel. I just carved away everything that wasn't the angel. So that's where the Book Carver comes from. Rembrandt, in a supportive role to this process, back in that day, the famous painters often they kept the lights on, so to speak, the roof over their head by painting portraits of their patrons, and they would always aggrandize them, make them look prettier, put them in finer clothes. It was a picture of better than who they were.
Their version of filters.
100%. Their version of filters, exactly. That's awesome. So Rembrandt, on the other hand, painted their soul. He saw what he saw in them, what they didn't even see in themselves. Sometimes it wasn't flattering, but it was always compelling. And that's part of, I'm helping people find the soul of their book so that and often giving them permission to write the courageous book. And that can be a courageous business book. That can be a courageous something personal. But that's what the process engenders as well.
That's so cool, Jim. I mean, I always think about you when someone wants to write a book, because I always, like, for me, the tell is like, is this something that you're going to do to drive business for yourself, or is this something that you're doing because you really want to be seen and you have something that if you delivered it, you'd be incredibly proud, even if no one read it. And like, I think you're the type of person, and you are the person that I turn to if they have something that's like this deep desire in their soul and this legacy imprint artwork that they want to deliver. And I just think that that's a very unique thing in the business world today, because I think there's a lot of people that can help you make a book that's going to be like a lead gen magnet, or, you know, something that you can use to drum up business or drum up attention. But it's very clear just from this conversation how much passion you have for something that is more refined, and more elevated, more taste. You're like a tastemaker too in all of this. So it's really interesting. It's interesting to connect the dots, like going backwards of you being an educator and then going into and learning about the traditional publishing world, and now into this, like all those dots connect for you to create the types of books that you help your clients create. It's interesting.
So interesting. And I did mention ministry, and I worked in youth ministry for lots of years at church, and then ran a nonprofit that put on giant youth events, arena-based youth events. And what I think I do a fairly good job of storytelling, especially when I can prepare it. And I'll tell you, when you have a room full of teenagers and they only come back next week because they want to, and they only bring their friends because they want them to experience this too, you get really good at storytelling.
Yeah.
So that was a part of my time in the cockpit as well, that served us in terms of connecting the dots.
How long were you in ministry for?
So professional ministry, about 5 years.
Okay. That's so cool. And what is your new parenting book about? I'm curious.
So,
can you talk about it?
Yeah,
or?
100%.
Okay,
and I'm
cool.
super excited about this. This is, and I'll share why this is coming about. I actually wrote it, did a giant launch, and hired my first business coach years ago. And he said, Jim, you raised test scores in really tough schools. Congratulations. That's amazing. That's not going to help you a bit in business.
Why not?
So, well, in terms of...
You can move people. You can motivate
learning
them.
the structures of the mechanics, the behind the scenes of a business, right? So he said, which one are you making more money on? Which one are you more... I was making money. I had clients coming to me on the book side. The parenting piece was just emerging. So unpublished that basically. But now I was at a 4 rooms event, and one of the speakers, I won't say a name, a COO of a very big company, we were talking after one of the workshops here in this same event in Pasadena, and he said, hey, would you mind sending me your book? And I said, sure. So I had a copy. It's been unpublished for years. But I sent it to him, and he emailed me, or he texted me and said, I thought he was going to read it. His wife and her mother read it. And she said, before this book was finished, it had already made a profound impact on our kids and our family. This book has been a godsend.
Wow.
So that just lit the fire under my butt to like, okay, there's people I can help to get this out there sooner. So I'm working right now on developing the program. The main goal is to help high achieving parents better connect with their kids. And I believe that it's not a full parenting program. You can just add this to whatever you need to have something, but you can add this as another layer to what you're already doing. I'm kind of the gateway drug to good parenting. So like, I believe if I can help you get a two-way connection with your child, everything else is figure outable. So
that's so funny, because you said at the beginning that you got into like books because you wanted to influence and help more people. Mm-hmm. You're right there. Like you're doing that now. Like what a journey though, because you spent all this time helping other people with their books. And now you're launching this baby that you got into this in the first place to do. Well, like a full circle moment, dude.
Totally.
That's so cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But all in divine time, I'd have to believe that whatever changes you're making to the book now, if you're making any, are coming from just a depth of wisdom and experience that you probably didn't have when you first have started it.
There are some. It's more about how I'm repositioning it. It's a really good question. What is different is about how I'm going to deliver it and what I'm adding to that. It's become a much more, I was giving workshops back then to parents, but now it's a whole, I understand what people need a lot more. I understand, I've had just a lot more experience. And so it's a much better offering. I can help people get a result faster, I now think, because of that experience. And you're right. The book will be a little bit different, especially the first chapter will be dramatically different. But I'm very excited to, and that's going to be one of my main goals here in 4 Rooms this year is to grow the heck out of that.
I love that. Well, now I know, so we can be on the lookout to support you with that. Anything from helping you market it to getting it in more hands. I mean, there's a bunch of high achieving parents in this community, and people that they can refer to for this book. So you're in the right place in terms of, getting into more hands. I also think you're in the right place because we have some of the best marketing people on earth with huge audiences. And, in that perspective, I'm excited for you. And we have a lot of parents here. So I hope that anyone listening to this that's a parent will end up getting the book. What is the name of the book?
Well, I can't share the name of the book yet, but I'm actually doing it the entrepreneur way this time. The old perfectionist in me, this is very different, was to get everything right first. That's the book is, that served me in developing how I create books because I every piece of the process is dialed in. But, the entrepreneur is fail forward fast and ready, fire, aim. And so I'm actually going to release the program before the book comes out.
Nice. So, I love that. That's smart. Yeah. It's a really smart way of going about it. Well, I'm excited to read it to prepare myself for when I'm a parent.
You're going to be such a great parent.
I can't wait, man. I'm really excited. And I'm just really honored to have you in the community, Jim. You're such a good human. I hope anybody that wants to create a beautiful book or wants to learn how to be a better parent gets in touch with you. You are our go-to here in this community of elite entrepreneurs for this topic. And we're just very honored to have you, and hope you know just as a friend I love you and I appreciate you. And I hope that people listening just got a little glimpse of your soul, which is so beautiful. And it's been great getting to know you a little bit better. Thank you, Jim.
I appreciate that. I love you too. And I'm grateful for what this mastermind, this community has done to help me elevate as a man and as a businessman.
I love that. That's the goal, man. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you.
As we wrap up today's episode, we have something special just for you. If you've been inspired by what we've explored today and you're ready to take your learning to the next level, then our 4 Rooms Mastermind live event is the perfect next step. And because you're a part of our podcast family, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your registration when you apply and are accepted. This is your chance. It's your chance to build relationships with other ambitious entrepreneurs like yourself, to dive deeper into the 4 rooms of entrepreneurship, and to connect with experts who can truly help accelerate your growth. Simply follow the event link in the description of this episode and use the promo code 4rooms10. That's FOURROOMS10 on your application to claim this opportunity. This offer is subject to application approval and it's limited, so don't wait too long to make your decision. Join us and transform your journey with the insights and networking that only our live events can offer. Thank you for tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you at the event and, of course, right back here next time on the 4 Rooms podcast. Until then, keep balancing and keep growing.